Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is XB Walker. I am starting my new tutorial series for 2017. This is going to be video number 1. If you've heard any of my tutorials before, I'm sure you know how they work. And this is going to be very similar to the first tutorial the first time around back in 2016. However, there have been many changes to the game. So I'm starting you guys from scratch. And of course, this is also mainly a tutorial for new players, and I'm hoping to help you guys out if you're new to the game. I'm going to go through a little quick personal Q&A to help you understand what the game is about as we play the game. So let's just get right into it. When you start the game, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see pretty nifty looking city, a bunch of balloons going around, and not much else. You're probably not going to have any idea of what to do because the in-game tooltips are not particularly helpful. And yeah, I don't work for the developers, so I will give my opinion in some places. But yes, there is not really much of a helpful tutorial for you, but that's okay because that's what I'm here for. I'm going to help you out. So let's go over the basics here. Basic number 1 is going to be your flight center. Now, there's two types of races. There's the orcs and humans. Here we have the orc flight center. It's a kind of a round dot. You can zoom really far in. You can see down here. It looks kind of like a missile silo. Actually, kind of cool. And then if you have a complaint about the graphics, trust me, I know graphics aren't that amazing up close, but you'll see why. I mean, the game is not meant to be played on the ground. This is an airship game. Alright, so we're going to click on our flight center. We're going to click, okay, once you click on your flight center, this window pops up over here on the left. See, here is your hangar, and here is your starter balloon. It's called a Shibe MK2. If you're a human, it's not called that. It's a slightly different name. I can't remember the name of it. The human balloons are a little bit faster, but have slightly less cargo capacity. Alright, so we click on our balloon. Well, that's great. It's sitting there, but what are we going to do? Well, much like EVE Online, this game is all about making money and killing your enemies. It's that simple. So this tutorial is going to focus on the making money portion of that. We will get into PvP, PvE, things like that in much later tutorials, but for now I'm sure you just want to take off. You want to do something. So step 1, now that our ship is up there, we're going to go back to the flight center. That's this guy right here. For the humans, your docking area is going to look more like a helicopter landing pad. It's sort of a square-shaped thing. And your flight center will look slightly different, but it will still say flight center, so I'm sure you'll find it by clicking around a little. So we're going to go to our flight center. We're going to go up here. See this little box icon? This is our contracts. This is how you start making money at the very beginning of the game. It's the easiest way. Very simple. It does not make much money, but it will teach you how to fly your ship at least. So here we have contracts. These are simple cargo contracts from Steel Nargval to Shelter. Steel Nargval happens to be where we're at. You can see down here, settlement, Steel Nargval. Shelter is to our west. The easiest way to tell is going to go to your map, world map. You're going to go to Nargval. There's three different portions of Nargval. And over here is Shelter to the west. Not very far. That's probably about 13 miles just by my eyeballing it. Another way to tell is you can actually go to your mini-map here on the left. You can zoom in a little bit. All these, you can hardly see it, but all these little pluses, these little white T's, those indicate cities, city docking ports. If you click on this one, it'll say Settlement, Steel Nargval, region, blah, blah, blah. If you want to find Shelter, you just remember that you saw on your world map it was to the west. So you click on this little plus here, and there it is, Shelter, 10 miles away. Not far. Pretty quick trip. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to Contracts and accept every Steel Nargval to Shelter contract that is only 1 silver and has a weight of 450. Before we do that, let me show you one other thing. This is achievements. This is new since 2016 for those who are just wondering what's changed. There are achievements now which kind of get you started because there's 2 currency types. There's silver, which is the money you earn in game. It can't really be bought with real money. And then there's gold, which is totally pay to win money. I acknowledge that, and I will talk to you more about pay to win and how pay to win this game is or is not later on. But for now, we're going to focus on silver. So, first achievement, and you do have to do these in order. Your first achievement is deliver a cargo from capital to nearest city. What that really means is just deliver the cargo from Steel Nargval in this case, or if you're human, from Baragor to the nearest city, which in our case is Shelter, or if you're human, I believe it's Misty, or what is it? It's Hearth, excuse me. Humans are up here, orcs are down here, and no, humans and orcs are not at war. You're free to move about the map. You won't be shot on if you're not human or not orc, but standings do matter later on in the game, which of course I'll explain later. Okay, so let's just accept some contracts. Before we do, one last thing to check. Actually, I should show you how I did that. Click on your docking port, click on your ship, or you can click on it if it's just floating here. Go to your hold, which is L, and it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4 times 4. That's 16 cargo spots. So we can handle 16 contracts as long as they don't exceed our free weight of 43,872. So let's just accept 16 of these. That's 1, and I'm just going to go through these. And you'll notice that in this list they start to regenerate, and they're filling this up. That way, if there's a bunch of players doing this at once, you won't have to sit there and wait for your contracts. And when we accept our contracts, if your ship is docked, it automatically is moved into the hold, which is very convenient. It didn't used to be like that. You used to have to manually move it all. Alright, there's 16 contracts, 16 potential silver worth of contracts. All that's left now is to take off. I mean, we've got our contracts, we know where we need to go, so let's learn how to fly. With your ship selected, which it already is, you're going to go over here to the right, fly out of the settlement in a ship, in N ship. Well, that's some English translation problems. We're going to hit A, or we're just going to click on that. Now we're actually above the settlement. Before, that was sort of a preview. Now, it's important to note how to control your ship. Here on the map, the green arrow indicates the area your ship is pointing toward. Currently, it's pointing toward the north, but Shelter, you can kind of see it in the distance there. I don't know if it will render in the video. You can see some planes flying way in the distance. We need to go that way, so we're going to turn left. WSAD, just like any first-person shooter or flight simulator, still works the same way in this game. Okay, now we're pointed left. Looks like we're ready to go. Holding W is increasing our thrust down here. As I continue to hold it, my thrust continues to increase. However, I'm really close to the ground, and I probably want to go a little bit higher, because any pilot will tell you that there's kind of a sweet spot. The higher up you go, the more efficiently your aircraft will fly because there's less wind resistance. But you go too high, and there's not enough air to maintain flight, and you actually slow down or you fall out of the sky if you're in an aircraft. So in this case, we're going to go a little bit higher. Over here on the left is our altitude. So we're going to drag it up to 1,000 yards. They also call it 1 mile. The measurement system in this game is a little screwy. We just call it 1K in my group, my guild. You can call it whatever the heck you want. 1,000 yards, 1,000 feet, meters. I mean, no one's going to really care. So we're going up, and you'll notice as I go up, my speed very, very, very slowly will increase. Currently I'm going 128. As I pass 1,000, I should get a couple more miles an hour. Yeah, see, now I'm 129, and I'll probably get up to like 135. The Shibe, your starting balloon, only goes to 1,500 above the ground. I realize that's a very low height. Those of you who are returning to the game, you remember that it used to be 4,000. I'm not a big fan of this change. I think it's kind of messed up, but I sort of understand the reasoning behind it. Newbie balloons are simply meant to go between cities and in outlying areas. They're not meant for long-term usage. So we'll discuss getting new aircraft as we go through this tutorial. By the way, there is no in-game music. The music you're hearing is YouTube. I will link it in the video. I really like listening to this stuff while I fly. But yeah, no in-game music. The controls are pretty rudimentary. You can go to escape, settings. You can adjust all of your video settings to max, except for cloud quality. For whatever reason, that is not something you can touch. And I couldn't really tell you why. Sound, of course, is just volume. I've got mine very low. You'll see when you play the game, especially if you wear headphones, it's a very noisy game when you're around aircraft, fighters, and such. And to save your ears, I've turned that down. Your game starts with inverted camera controls all around. I turned all those off because I am just not used to that. Up to you, though. You can totally choose whatever you want. Mouse sensitivity is pretty self-explanatory. And crosshair color is the color of your crosshair aimer when you're in your ship in firing mode, which I'll give you a preview of real quick. Oh, we can't even go into... Oh, look at that. Not available for level 1 in the safe area. Interesting. That is another change since 2016. When you're in the safety area, which is within about 5 miles of a city, you cannot use aiming mode, meaning you can't go and attack other players, is what it really means. Because each ship has a first-person shooter mode. I'll show you that in probably the second tutorial or third. Alright, so we are getting close to shelter. Now, I need to drop down, actually, because I need to land. So I'm going to drag my slider down. This is all done manually. There's actually a much easier way to do this, and it's called automated flying or navigation system flying. So instead of manually controlling my balloon, turning right and left myself, which you can do if you're a hands-on kind of guy, I'd like to just tell my ship to go somewhere. Anyone who's played EVE Online before knows that you can double-click around in space to move around, but really the majority of your movement is point and click. You tell your ship to go to a place and it goes. Same goes for this game. So I'm going to go land, which is this button right here. It's also T for shortcut. And I'm going to click on that docking port coming up. My ship will already start to turn, and it's going to make its way down to the ground. Now, there's another way to do this if you want to travel long distance. Currently, I'm zoomed in on my map to 4 miles width of my mini-map, but I can zoom out to 16. And there's a city down here, actually. If I click, you can barely see it. It's called Zatar. It's 19 miles away. If for whatever reason I wanted to go to that city, I could just click on land, go to my mini-map, and actually click on Zatar. You'll see when I mouse over it, it turns blue, meaning there's a valid target to land at. Any of these T's that you see can be landed at. Blue T's indicate player settlements or player castles, player whatever, anything a player owns that has a docking port. And white T's are NPC settlements, NPC cities. Okay, here we go. I'm making my way to the ground right now. My balloon is venting steam. And we're almost landed. You'll notice you still have the cargo in your cargo hold. And as we go to land, once we do land, that cargo is going to automatically unload. You don't have to do any manual stuff like you used to back in the first days that this game came to Steam. I would like to say, though, the game is still in early access. There's a lot of stuff that it needs work on, particularly economy, in my opinion. A lot of the players who come and try this game out come from EVE, so they're used to a very well-refined, well-defined economy system. This game does not have that just yet. It's also very reliant on having a lot of players to see the economy, which we don't have at the moment. I'll be totally honest, the game has a very low population right now, and I'm hoping these tutorials, plus a lot of the very, very awesome changes that have happened in the past 6 months, will improve that. But I mean, like I said, I'm going to be honest through all of these tutorials. I don't want you surprised by any game mechanics. I want you knowing what you're getting to when you come into this game. One thing you should know, this game is hard. I mean, it is really, really hard, for noobs especially. This tutorial is the closest thing you're going to get to a tutorial unless they ever put one in the game. It eats noobs for breakfast and it spits them out. However, if you're the kind of player that really likes to accept a challenge and likes games that are hard, then yeah, this is the game for you, because it gets easier as you go along. Okay, it says the mission is complete. It actually said it 16 times, but it couldn't put them all on the list there. You'll notice up on the top right, we have 516 silver. Reason being, we just finished our first achievement up here. Neighboring city, deliver cargo from a capital to the nearest city. Reward 500, it's 500 silver is what it really means. And then, congratulations, you've accomplished the objective, blah, 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 blah. We got 500 silver coins, and we're waiting for your next achievement. It's extremely important that you do the achievements when you start the game. Silver, you can ask any veteran who's been playing this game, silver is very hard to come by, especially at a lower level. Again, I said the economy needs work. That's probably where it needs work the most. As you start the game, your ability to make a lot of money is extremely limited until you put in real money. Not a lot of real money, but a little bit of real money. And I'm going to leave this tutorial with that. We've learned the basics of flight. The next tutorial is going to be teaching you about extraction. But one other thing that you should know, no free-to-play game is free-to-play because they just want you to play it and have fun and never pay any money. Free-to-play is just another way for the company to make money, and these guys are no different. The free-to-play system is pretty good in here, but there are certain things in the game that you need to spend gold on, and you can buy gold for silver on the market, which I'll show you market controls next. However, the amount of gold you need to even build a basic level settlement is going to run you a couple bucks. Probably about $5 for a really good start in the game. If it upsets you that you'll ever have to spend money in a free-to-play game, this is not the game for you and you need to move on. Because I'll be honest with you, every free-to-play game is going to try to get some of your money. These guys just aren't as good at hiding it. But hey, $15? I mean, I've played games that are terrible that costed me $60. So if it just cost me $15 to get started in this game and really make a start for myself, that's not so bad. Anyway, that's the end of this tutorial. I'm going to show you guys next how to do extraction, but that will be on tutorial number 2. See you soon.